think whoever thought of these never actually had to wear a hood. So, pardon me. Can you guys hear back there? Good, we're having a hard time hearing. So, I struggled to write this speech. I tried several times during my runs, at my computer, on a walk with my dogs to try and think of what I would say at this grandiose moment. I worried about being funny, but not too funny. Wise, but let's be honest, I don't really know anything. And as I worried about how to put these words to paper, my mind trailed off. And I began to think about all that worried me throughout these past 4 years. Because this, for me, was the most difficult thing I have ever done. I thought about all the worrying I did during the first 3 years over how I was going to pass tests. I worried about if my fingernails were ever going to grow back in. We, together, worried about renal physiology, general pathology, animal schmugology, you name it. We worried about not learning the information, and then once we learned the information, we learned how were we going to use it in our 4th year. We worried about the blood, sweat, mild zoonotic diseases, and tears that it would take to get us here today. And we worried about our lungs, and some of us worried about grades, and others worried about children and husbands and wives. Some of us wondered how we were going to do this and keep our families together. A few of us worried about keeping what was left of our remaining hair. How did that go for you, Bill? We thought about and planned for children's births, engagements, weddings, and starting families, though hopefully not right at this moment. Right, Erica? We worried about becoming good doctors and honing the ethical set that we would have to uphold one day when no clinician was looking over our shoulders. Some of us worried about being called on in class. One of us worried about being used as a demonstration in class. We worried and thought about where we wanted to take this wide and varied career. You know, I'd always thought that once I got into vet school, the choice was clear and life would be easier. And of course, like so many things, it only became more complicated. What species, what specialty, what type of practice, where? We struggled over working with colleagues who were different than ourselves. We stressed over VetStar, entering radiology requests and the F3 button. Oh, VetStar, the most unintuitive computer program ever put forth on the planet. We worried about our favorite patients. Were they better today? Were they worse? We were concerned that sometimes we weren't getting enough time to go out and relax with our friends. We worried about the hours that we weren't sleeping. Some of us have worried about how to get cows out of the microscope room in Ward 1. Some of us have worried about broken centrifuges, being mounted by cows, or clandestine attempts to cover up the fact that we indeed mixed the reversal with the sedative during a bandage change. Am I going to be a good doctor? What am I going to do on my first solo emergency call? And all of this time, we made ourselves busy with the daily toils and worries of vet school. And I say that with affection. Of course, it's easier to say with affection in retrospect. But we grew and learned and improved every single day while we were busy worrying about all those other things. John Lennon once said that life is what happens when you're making plans for other things. And as it turned out, it was the same thing with this speech. As soon as I sat down to write about all the reasons why the speech was so difficult and why I didn't have anything to say, I realized that it was there all along. Somewhere along these 4 years, we grew into doctors while we were worrying and making those other plans. We grew into doctors before our own eyes, and we didn't even know it. So let's take this moment to really know this moment, to enjoy both the levity and the gravity of it all, to realize that we all got here together, that we did this together. And as for what's next, don't worry about it.